exceptionally well trained. I love my rock and romance crowd. I love you folks. Thank you so much for being with us again. I am Jason, your cruise host. Welcome back to All Access Pass. Today I am joined by Graham Gouldman and Rick Fenn of 10cc. Thank you for being with us, gentlemen. Now, before we even get into fun questions or anything like that, I just got to ask this simple question. I've asked it of Guess Who, Air Supply, of Little River Band. What have you guys been doing for the last 2 years? How has it been for you to get through all of this?
I didn't expect that question. Well, I've been doing lots of recording. I was forced into facing my technophobia. I put a studio in our home, and I never stopped recording. It was one of the best things I ever did. I mean, I've been involved in studios all my life, but I've never had one in my home.
In your
I let
actual home,
other people do all that work, and I say, that sounds terrible, or that sounds great. So I really enjoyed it. So I found actually during the pandemic a very creative time, and I think a lot of other musicians did too. Because we were forced to make some music on our own. But with technology, of course, we were able to work with other musicians, sending files and doing stuff with other people's records. And I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that we're out of it, I have to say.
Oh, amen.
But it did, every cloud has a silver lining.
Yeah, it does. It's
impressively a positive response from Mr. Gouldman there.
Yeah.
And Rick, how about you?
Yeah, I was pretty frustrated by the whole thing, to be brutally honest.
It's fair.
I was stuck the other side of the world as well, so I actually live in Australia, so I haven't been out of Australia until coming here.
Yeah.
So very exciting for me.
If you can't tell on stage, Rick will be the one doing jumping jacks and cartwheels across, just ready to perform. Australia, actually, you guys really went hard in Australia. You guys kept lockdown a lot longer. It was the same level of seriousness there, but Australia really approached it heavily, if you will.
Yeah, we kept it out of the country for a long time, better than anybody.
Impressive.
But when it came like an avalanche. And because I've had it, and I've had all the jabs and everything else. But it's quite intense, the restrictions that can knock it. Yeah.
Let's not go down that path.
Let's not go there.
PTSD for poor Rick. Yeah. Well, now obviously we're not on the other side of it, but we're out of it. We're back at least to being able to tour and be creative again in front of guests, and it's got to be nice. Actually, let me ask it this way: what was the first show back after all of this for you guys?
The first show that I did was actually a show I do called Heart Full of Songs, which is an acoustic show where I get to sing and talk about a lot of the songs that I wrote in the 60s, pre-10cc. Sure. And that was actually in a small club. There were about 110 people. It was fantastic. Yeah. And it was fantastic because both the audience and the band members who were in the Heart Full of Songs show hadn't played together or in front of an audience for 2 years. And it was just amazing. Yeah. But the first show that we've done with Rick is going to be particularly special because it's going to be here.
Right here.
Yeah.
I've just been completely stuck over there.
Every song gets messed up because Rick is just staring out at the audience, excited. It's your turn, sir. Come in anytime. Yeah. If you don't mind, let's touch on a brief bit of history for folks that may not know. You were one of the founding four of the 10cc, is that correct?
That is correct.
In 1972?
1972 is correct.
And yeah, you can applaud for that. That's applause-worthy. And there was four of you in the initial...
Yeah, there was four of us. I'll give you a brief history of what happened. Myself, Eric Stewart, Kevin Godley, and Lol Cream formed the band in 72. In 1976, Kevin Godley and Lol Cream left the band. Eric Stewart and I decided to carry on, went into the studio to record an album with the drummer, Paul Burgess, who is with us, that you will see him, and he's here somewhere. And then we decided to go on the road, and that is when Rick joined us in 1976.
Yeah. Long time ago.
Some longevity. That's impressive.
It's impressive, yes. Rick's one of my oldest and best friends, and we've made a lot of music together in all different sort of guises as well.
Yeah. Now, please, Rick, go ahead.
I was just going to say that includes touring with Andrew Gold, which was a...
That's right. Andrew Gold, the late great Andrew Gold, and I had a band together during the 80s called Wax, and Rick joined us on the road for that as well. You should check that out, that stuff. Even though I say so myself.
Roughly, how many shows do you think you've played together, you two right here?
Actually, I think it's about 1,200.
If you say so.
If you'd asked me that in advance, I could have told you exactly.
Well, Graham told me to surprise you, so here I am.
Rick actually is very good. He keeps a record of every... I'm very laissez-faire about all this, but Rick can tell you where we were on November the 5th, 1982.
I'm not quite sure why I've done
o'clock.
this. And it doesn't represent how, I'm not normally that organised, but for some reason I did do that. And it's been quite useful, actually.
Very useful. It's great.
Now, if we go back to the early 70s, the four of you split somewhat into two kind of writing groups. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, there were a lot of the songs that we actually wrote in that might have been three of us, and we changed partners. But the two basic teams were myself and Eric Stewart, and there was Kevin Godley and Lowell Cream. But we did mix it up quite a bit.
And part of the division, and please correct me, is Lowell Cream and Godley were a little more, psychedelic's not the word, but more creative, more artistic. Is that what it was in terms of being a little more experimental, I guess?
They're a little bit more experimental, whereas Eric and I were more sort of more straight pop. And the beauty of that was the chemistry of bringing the two styles together. That's what really worked. And there was some other chemistry going on as well. I think with all combinations of bands, you can bring together like the greatest musicians in the world and nothing happens. But sometimes there's just something happens, they rub against each other in a certain way, and it creates something special, and I think we were very lucky to have that.
I think we're very lucky to have that.
Wow. If you say so.
Yeah, I do.
He does.
And you mentioned that the band split around 70.
76. Kevin and Lowell wanted to do an album that featured an instrument. Well, it wasn't an instrument, it was actually an attachment that you put on the guitar to make the strings resonate and just keep playing, as you would with a bow on a violin string. And they got so into this, and we said, well, we should be writing songs and doing the next album, and we're going on tour, etc. And they said, we've had enough of it. We want to continue working on this album. It turned out to be a triple album.
Wow.
So it would have taken a long time to get over that. But
very experimental.
It was very experimental. It should have been one album, as I've told Kevin Godley ad nauseum. But Kevin and I have worked together still. He and I are the only two that keep in touch with one another. And Kevin, well, I'll tell you more about Kevin's involvement with this band.
You had a monster string. You had, 5 consecutive albums there in the UK, correct? That went top 10 in that mid-70s to late 70s.
Yeah, there was a sort of like a golden 5 years.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that period in terms of the band, in terms of the writing. I mean, it seems like something was definitely clicking in that period. I mean, for 5 consecutive to go, top 10.
Yeah, I think what happened was, we had our own recording studio. This was a big plus. Something that Eric Stewart and a guy called Peter Tattersall had started off. Eric asked me to become a partner in it, which I did. And it became the home to the four of us in that we were kind of like a house band, playing on other people's records, recording on anything, just because we loved doing it. And it brought business into the studio. Until we recorded an album with Neil Sedaka. We co-produced that album with him. And it was after that we sort of thought, maybe we could be a band. It didn't actually occur to us, but because it was our own studio, we could go in and record any time we wanted to, and record anything. And the main thing that we did was we just did everything for ourselves. We weren't aware. We didn't have trying to sell records or make a hit or do anything like that. We just wrote and recorded what we wanted. And the first song we recorded was going to be released on the Beatles Apple label, and we needed a B-side for it. So Eric and I had written the A-side, so we said it seemed fair that Kevin Love should write the B-side, and that first song was called Donna, and it was a massive hit for us. Like really, didn't expect it.
We're right about the 50-year anniversary, is that correct?
You are definitely in the 50-year anniversary, yeah. I don't believe it, but apparently it's...
Rumor has it. Yeah.
The mathematics say it's true, right?
And this is, of course, is the first gig of the 50th anniversary.
Hey!
You guys.
Yay! Right, Gigi!
So you undoubtedly you wrote for, worked with, you said you were, forgive the term, kind of a studio band at that time. You were playing with. Who all was coming through your studio, folks, that these folks might know?
Just Paul McCartney.
Who?
I don't
know. Who?
Yeah. No, Paul recorded an album at our studio with his brother, Mike McGear. That was during the period we were recording the sheet music album. And it was absolutely brilliant because we were working during the day and Paul would come in with his brother later, a sort of early evening. And the studio was completely crammed with gear. It was just beautiful. So that was very exciting. But a lot of people that, as I say, Neil Sedaka as well, a lot of the bands from Manchester did a lot of recording there. Okay.
I mean, it is renowned in the... 10cc is renowned within the industry, obviously, for not only being innovative, but for the simple fact that you are a band of what other artists would consider absolute true musicians. All of you are considered absolute true musicians from the beginning till now. That's a huge testament when you hear from other artists. That's got to make you feel some level of pride for what you've done, both of you.
Yeah, I'm very proud of what the original band have done and what we've done, Rick and I, with the other members of the band. You know, the main thing now is that we love the songs. The songs, in a way, are the stars of the show. And that's why we're still doing it now, because the songs have a certain longevity. And we're very lucky in that. And we love to play. Sorry?
We never get sick of playing them.
No, we don't.
I never get tired of playing them.
No.
I'm sure I echo the statements of the room, and we don't get tired of listening. So
okay, that's good.
If you don't get tired, we don't get tired. As I like to tell the artists, we open up the floor to guest questions. They write down questions on cards and submit them to my wife. And I'd like to go through a few of them kind of as we go along here. John, who comes to us from Gulfport, says, on I'm Not in Love, how many times did you have to track it to get the full voice effect that we experience?
About 4 days worth. Something.
Could you explain that to people that may not understand what that means?
So on I'm Not in Love, it was Kevin Godley's idea that we record a track with just voices, nothing else. So we'd recorded this song once, by the way, and rejected the recording because it was horrible. But we loved that. We all loved the song. Kevin said, why don't we re-record it with a different rhythm and do it all with voices? So to do that, that would mean that we had to put a rhythm track down, first of all, so we could sing. And the plan was put a very quick rhythm track down, do all the voices and whatever we wanted to do, and then take that rhythm track off. But, and this is the beauty of when you've got a great song, even as we'd put down like an electric rhythm guitar, a bass drum, and a keyboard, a Fender Rhodes, and there was something going on even at that point. Everything we added to that record worked. Every idea worked. But the main thing, as we were talking about the voices, we decided that we wanted to have a magnificent choir. But unfortunately, there were only 4 of us. So I think it was Lol came up with this idea of us recording a note, say it's A. So we all go, ah. This is the three of us singing, ah. And we do that on the multi-track. I think we were 16-track at that time. So we've got 16 of the three of us, because Eric was engineering, going, ah. Then we mix that down to a stereo pair. So now we've got it on a 1/4-inch tape. I made a loop of that tape.
Literally
made a loop of it.
A guitar stand
Pre-digital.
and a microphone stand
And
around the room.
Yeah, we had it going actually at a cymbal stand and a microphone stand, so going into the tape playback. And then we spun that back into another part of the multi-track until we had all the notes that we wanted coming up on each different fader of the board. So now we needed to mix that down. And it took, so three of us were actually playing the board as the rhythm track was playing. We'd also got a guide vocal on by this time, I think. And then, so we'd mix that down to a stereo pair, and that's what you hear. So what was exciting about it, we didn't know what we were going to get. I mean, if you said, like, let's put a choir on a track now, or that, you'd get, some kind of synthesized sound or sample, say. But it wouldn't be the same as this, because our voices weren't there was no auto-tuning or anything like that, so they're not perfect. So there's a kind of like a slight chorusing involved in them as well. Anyway, I think that's...
And now Rick just sings all the parts himself. That's amazing. Yeah. That is phenomenal. Tony from Delaware, I believe that answers your question as well, asking the backstory of that song. Greg Smith from NorCal, North California. You toured with Ringo Starr. Would you be willing to share any stories of that time?
Yes, I got it was actually we actually toured in 2018. About 2 years prior to that, I got a call from his producer asking me the most stupid question I've ever heard. Would you like to tour with Ringo Starr?
Who? Yeah.
So I said yes, and then didn't hear anything. And then I got a call from a friend of mine in New York that said, can you give me a quote? I said, a quote for what? You're touring with Ringo Starr. Oh, nice of them to tell me, but not a problem. Anyway, it was one of the greatest things I've ever done because the
Sorry about that.
unsurprised.
He's Australian. We can't take him anywhere. He hasn't been out of the house in 2 years. Cut him some slack. This is very rich food.
Okay. So
Graham's gone. Now Graham's like, I have no idea what we're talking about.
Who are we talking about? Ringo who?
Yeah, Ringo who?
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, the Beatles have been probably my greatest influence amongst others, but, they set the bar, and I was absolutely knocked out to do it. He is very generous, very kind, does not suffer fools easily, loves working, loves playing like we all do and like we should do. Was a lot of fun to be with, and not just to be with Ringo, but Steve Lukather was with the band, and Colin Hay, who became really good friends. And it was just a fantastic experience. I've actually wrote a song about it. I put out a solo album right at the beginning of the pandemic, which is great timing. And it's a fantastic album. It's brilliant, isn't it? It's called Modesty Forbids. Do you see what I did there?
Yeah, I did see what you did. Did anyone else see what he did there?
Anyway.
I'm proud of that, yeah.
Okay. I'm glad I'm a musician, not a comic. Anyway, that got more of a laugh. The opening track of that album is called Standing Next to Me. and it's all about my time working with Ringo and the All-Star Band. So if you really want to know about it, buy the album and listen to track 1 and listen to the rest of it as well.
Nicely done. Good slip of the plug in there. Greg follows up. Greg has a second question. He said, I saw 10cc in '78 in Phoenix, Arizona. Best show ever! Exclamation point.
Thank you.
Been wanting to see you guys ever since. You are the reason we booked this cruise. Thank you.
Wow, thank you.
Where's
Thank
Greg?
you.
Greg, wave your hand. Where are you, Greg? Right there. Oh, there's Greg right there.
The man with the
Thank you,
T-shirt.
Greg. He's got literally got the T-shirt.
He's not just playing at fandom. He is a fan. That's good. That's good. Tim from Florida. Love the middle portion of Not in Love. Great transitioning bass and voices, plus the big boys don't cry. How did that come together? Is there more to the story that you told us, or is that pretty much the...
The middle part of I'm Not in Love, where there's the kind of bass solo, that'll be me. Thank you.
Modesty. Important.
That was the part of there was singing on that. It was part of the song. It was like going into a bridge. But we didn't care for it, and we just took the voice off and left. So it's basically a backing track in the middle of it. But then it needed more, and I think it was Lowell's idea, said, why don't we get a girl to say, be quiet, big boys don't cry. And our the secretary at the studio, Kathy, her name is, we asked her to come into the studio and do it, and she did it in about 2 or 3 takes, and that was it.
Immortalized.
And that really is a very special part of the record.
Was Kathy excited to do it, or was Kathy put out? Because, I have got enough to do. I don't need to.
No, she was very...
She's off at 5.
She was very sweet, and she was very happy to do it, and then just carried on...
Right back to...
typing letters.
She's been dining out on it ever since, I might say. But.
Yeah.
Fair
and
enough.
she does have a gold disc as well.
Good for her.
Yeah,
Sometimes you stumble right into it. This is a good one. Madeline from New York City. Do you keep Madeline's picture, ... upon your wall?
Madeline, not Madeline's picture. Oh, I see. You mean in Not in Love, it leaves a nasty stain. Oh, I keep your picture on the wall.
He's written a lot of songs, okay? Cut him some slack.
Right,
He's written a lot of songs.
I can tell you, sometimes you're right. I mean, the song was written by myself and Eric Stewart. Sometimes the lyrics can be quite ambiguous. So you don't really necessarily, they don't have to make sense, but they have to feel right with the music. That's all that matters. Because a lot of songs, what the hell are they talking about? Seriously. But does it matter? It doesn't matter because it feels right. And then also it's your imagination. You decide what it is.
A little interpretation.
Yeah,
good.
Exactly.
Rick, Graham is trying to steal all the air on the stage. So we're going to go ahead and transition over to you. We're going to transition over to you, friend. You joined in '76. Tell us a little bit about what it was like getting into the band and or still being a part of 10cc today.
Well, I was a huge fan, I will say. So it was, and it was Paul Burgess, who's still with us, our drummer, who's drummed with the band since 1973. And I played with him in Manchester in a band that I was with. We did a TV show, and we got on really well. He took the recordings of the band I was in away with him, and when these guys were looking for new blood, he offered me up, and it really was it was a fairy tale, literally for me. It was an amazing time. So I was literally swept up, and next thing I knew, we were touring England and Australia, and Graham and I have been shoulder to shoulder ever since, really. And it was. Thank you, by the way, for picking me.
You're welcome.
In case he hasn't said that since '76, there it is. There, finally. Jeez. If we can go back to periods where the 4 of you that were the original members of 10cc, obviously you said they split. How did you decide how to build the band from that point?
Well, first of all, we made an album called Deceptive Bends, and we were really pleased with this album.
Phenomenal
album. But we wanted to go. There it is. Oh no, that's yes, it is. That it. Yeah, sorry. yeah, we decided to go on the road, go back on the road and do it. And Rick joined us, very happy about that. And we've had various different musicians, sort of keyboard players. Paul has always been with us. And Rick's always been, as he said, we've stood shoulder to shoulder for, well, since 1976.
45 years.
Yeah, 45 years.
That's phenomenal. It's hard to do.
That's something.
Very hard to do. This question is going to sound rude, but I don't mean it that way. Please understand. When you've been accomplished as you have been, individually and collectively as a group, and individually and collectively, what is the drive to still tour and play as much as you do today when you don't have to?
It's very simple. I just love it, and I can't do anything else. So I honestly, I can't. I have no other sort of real hobbies. I like cooking when I'm at home, but that's I don't play golf. And really, music has been my life since I was discovered the love of music from the age of 7. So I'm so happy to be. I'm incredibly lucky. The 3 things I love to do in my working life, it's not really work, is writing songs, recording them, and playing live. And whatever I'm doing, I'm going, this is the best thing I've ever done.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's true. I'm lucky.
It's a great answer. Rick, how do you feel about it?
Well, I would say that 2 years out with COVID has really brought a sharp point to that. To the
Reinvigorated you for
yeah,
this.
I mean, as Graham says, we're lucky enough to be in a profession that's it's work, but it's not work. It's our life. It's in our core, our marrow, and I'm really excited about, as I said, playing the first gig for 2 years with these guys, and doing it here.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, we're glad to have that. We're glad.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Graham, do you write as prolifically as you did back in the early days?
I'm still writing a lot, yes. I mean, if I've got a project like a solo album, I write and co-write. Actually, I write with one of the boys in the band, Ian Hornell, who's at the back there. And there he is.
Waving his hand, there he is.
Ian's quite a new boy. He's only been with us for about 6 or 7 years, I think.
I was going to say, he doesn't look like he's been in the band since the 70s.
He's the baby of the of the band. But like everybody in the band, our keyboard player, Keith Hayman's been with us for maybe 12 years. I can't remember, but the joy of this band is that we love the music that we play, we love each other, and we love to do it. And that, I think audiences feel that the band
completely
gets on with one another. They're really having a good time. And that's why it's such a joy to be able to do it.
When you write today, do you write for other artists as well in your mind, or do you write specifically for 10cc?
It's both, really. I do my solo work, so I write on my own or have co-writers. But I actually just came back from a writer's retreat up in the north of England, where I was working with some new writers, but also one partner, Beth Nielsen Chapman. I've written a lot with her, if you know her. You don't? Oh, you do? I should think so. She's great. But, yes, so I'm writing new stuff, writing for different projects. So there's plenty to do. It's much harder now for songwriters to get songs placed. There are various teams, or lots of artists write for themselves, or have sort of teams of writers for them. So it's a bit harder, but I'm happy to. The main thing is, if I write a song and I want to put it on an album, I'll listen to it and I'll go, I'm going to record that. So
this one's mine.
Makes it easy. Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, here we go. Creative question. A creative question. Is there anyone that you have not had the chance to play with or write for that you wish you would have? Any artist out there?
I hate that question.
I know. You're welcome.
Prince.
You answer it first.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it, Rick.
Well, I mean, I said Prince because I
Prince.
love him. But, you know,
That ain't gonna happen.
Ain't gonna happen now, no. Personally, I've ended up playing with a lot of people that I had, apart from 10cc, just in the course of my career. But I think I'll let you take this, because...
Well, I guess, I mean, there are people that I've always admired, like Mark Knopfler.
Knopfler's phenomenal.
And Sting.
Sting, yeah.
There you go.
Fair enough. Well played. I saved this question for last because I thought this was very interesting. Michelle from Minneapolis. Michelle is one of our regular submitters of questions. It's called the Elvis Moment, in quotes. The moment I heard Elvis had passed, I was 12. Who was it for you? And if you are willing to share the moment of what you were doing and how you felt in that time.
What, when Elvis passed?
No, I mean, she's calling it the Elvis moment. So it was Elvis for her. Does somebody else play that Elvis role for you in terms of when you lost them, it was shattering?
John Lennon.
Yeah. Lennon. Yeah. Rick?
Prince.
But
of course, John Lennon as well. I felt that terribly deeply, but yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's happening far too often these days.
it really is. We just lost lead singer Procol Harum 2 days ago.
Indeed, we did.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
We did a gig with them not long ago, actually.
Yeah, just 2 days ago, a day and a half ago. So before we let you go, I know you've obviously got things to go and do. The last question I always ask is, and we know Rick's answer here in a moment, but Graham, if you would be so honest, what does it mean to you to be on a cruise like the 70s Rock and Romance cruise, where you're surrounded by many of your peers, the folks you played with, obviously people you've toured with, and folks you've gotten to know, and you know you have a crowd of die-hard fans that love nothing more than that era, your band, and that music. How does it feel to be on this cruise?
It's really lovely, and I think it's because we all love music, and we're gonna have a great time playing for you. And we hope you enjoy what we're doing. That's the main thing for me. It's something we've never really done before. I think we did one night on like a cruise, didn't we, before?
In Scandinavia, we did it. It was like an overnight thing.
But this feels special. We know the history of the 70s rock and romance cruises, and we're happy to be here and looking forward. Can we please play now?
That's when you know you're talking to a true musician. That just, can we play anytime? Yeah. Now, Rick, dare I even throw this to you? 2 years in the house, and you're finally out of the country. You're back here, your first show. What can we expect from Rick Fenn in his first show back out of 2 years?
Probably a lot of smiling up there.
Yeah.
Just sheer and utter happiness, I'm sure, at this point. Yeah.
And kind of nerves.
Sure.
But the nerves are important, I always think.
Oh, yeah.
People say that all the time, and actually that's a great, if you don't mind, people say that when the butterflies go away, it's actually...
Something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
That you got to have a little bit of butterflies, no matter how long you've been doing it. You still feel them.
Yeah. I'm off at the side of the stage before we go on thinking, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? You don't need to do this. And then as soon as I go on and everything's right and I feel we're all together, I'm going, oh, yeah, I remember.
That's why we do.
It's great.
You guys are incredibly generous for coming up here and spending your time
Our
with
pleasure.
us. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
My friends and family, do me a favor, a huge round of applause for a couple of legends. Give it up for Rick Fenn and Graham Goldman of 10cc. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you out and about.